my question is on the line of illegal immigration that's happening into Europe, right? So if you basically look at what's happening, it's military-aged men, as you say in your previous videos, military-aged men with very, with very aggressive mindset coming into Europe from only specific areas into Europe. So, how does not one but not two countries, but an entire continent fall prey to illegal immigration? How are they not able to like open their minds and think what's going behind the back? Because if you look at what's happening out of everything, it's the US that is benefiting. Anything bad happens to Europe, it's the United States that benefits, right? If you look at who blew up the Nord Stream, obviously they won't tell it directly, but there's a clip of literally Biden telling before it blew up that we've got ways to blow it up, and then it suddenly blows up and they blame it on the Russians. So anything bad happens to Europe, it essentially goes back to America. So do you view illegal immigration as a way to generate friction between two ethnic groups, or what do you say on this?
So I'm not sure what they're trying to achieve by having millions of these people coming into Europe, but why is it happening, and why is none of the European nations able to do a thing against this? That's the real crux of the matter. You have to understand that when it comes to the European Union, there's no democracy there. And why do I say there's no democracy? Let me explain. See, and there's no sovereignty. Even more than democracy, there is no sovereignty when it comes to these nations that are part of the EU. And why do I say that none of these nations are genuinely sovereign? What are the characteristics of a sovereign nation? Firstly, you print and control your own currency. Secondly, you have complete control over your borders and who comes inside and who goes out. These are the two defining characteristics of a sovereign nation. And thirdly, you get to decide what happens inside your country and what rules and what laws are enforced. Three characteristics of a sovereign nation. In the EU, none of the EU member states has its own currency. They have to use the euro, which is a continuation of the Deutschmark. That's number one. Secondly, none of these nations has any control over their borders. The borders are open. Anybody from any part of the EU can move into your nation and there's nothing you can do about it. Number three, what was the third thing? Number three is laws. What laws are enforced in a nation? Well, it's the EU laws that are enforced in the nation. So all of this is being controlled from Brussels. So none of the EU nations is a sovereign nation. They are all non-sovereign nations. They have lost their sovereignty. So all you have to do to flood the entirety of the EU and all the nations within it with illegal immigrants is to make the decision from Brussels. And who controls Brussels? Well, the bigger power controls Brussels. It's the US. So you are right. That's how it is going, and that is why none of these nations has been successfully able to resist this tremendous influx of illegal immigrants. Now, why is this being done? Why is Europe being destroyed, deindustrialized? There could be many theories for that. One of the things I can think of is that whenever the Americans think of a strong Europe, they see those visions of the marching boots and the Hugo Boss uniforms, Nazi uniforms, and they want to ensure it never happens again. So the idea behind the Nazi regime was the idea of the superior race, the so-called white Aryan race. So if there is no more superior race left, they're all mixed up, then that can never happen again. So maybe that's the reason why. So you can see that Europe is being slowly neutralized, deindustrialized, and it's all happening in real time through illegal immigration and so many other means. And none of these nations are able to resist that because they are not sovereign anymore. That's why.